Okay, everybody, it is me, Gregory Mannarino. People, I'm happy to be here with you on this Friday, December 3rd, 2021. And we have to talk. It's just more of the same absolute incredibleness. Is that even a word? Well, if it isn't a word, I'm going to use it anyway. Incredibleness. And I don't mean from a good perspective here. Before we go on to the markets and everything else, I want to talk about some economic news that we got. So the story is very simple. We are being told repeatedly and over and over again that our economy is just, it's fantastic. It could not be stronger. We're doing just absolutely great. You know that, right? Well, these are the numbers that we got today. Let's talk about these things. I cover it all the time, but these are the brand new numbers. So November payrolls, okay? When you want to talk about a miss, it's epic. It's a historic miss. So, the economists out here, the rocket scientists who always get it wrong, and I'm not making that up either, they were predicting that November payrolls were going to add 550,000 jobs. An abysmal number anyway, because every single week, what are we getting? 200,000 plus people applying for first-time unemployment benefits? You know that story. But here's the number. So they were estimating 550,000. Well, we got 210,000. And by some miracle, are you ready for the miracle? The unemployment rate actually came down. Make it up. Make it up. It's all part of the same thing that we've been seeing here. The lies, the propaganda, the distractions, and the misinformation. We can't get a damn thing. There's no truth whatsoever. And we also found this out this morning, and this applies to the world. Global, I'm reading this, food prices continue to surge higher. Now, if you follow this blog, this is no surprise to you. We are in the middle of something very ugly, and we understand what's going on. All of us do who realize the current environment and what's happening, what central banks are doing here. They're going to continue to inflate, none more so than the Federal Reserve. They're going to inflate some more. You've heard me say that a million times. And they're not even close to done here. Not even close to being done inflating. And that's part of the propaganda too this morning here. Oh, just like we heard yesterday. Oh yeah, the Fed really wants to taper. They really want to raise rates. No, they don't. Where were they getting this information from? The rocket scientists, the economists who are always wrong? No. You see, they don't understand what's going on here. You and I clearly understand what's going on here. They are the real government, and they're going to do whatever they want to. And their job right now, their mission, okay, if you're new here, I'm going to give you a nice, fat, ugly, rude awakening. The central banks are on a mission to wipe out globally an entire class of people. We are in the middle of a global reset to a feudal system. You want to talk about a reset? That's what we are resetting to. A feudal system. People living under a tyrannical system, a slave system, and you all know that. And it's getting much, much worse. It's going to continue to get worse. Okay, let's look over at the market. On the back of what is a historic miss with regards to November payrolls here being added a prior month, well, I'm laughing. Stock futures are, of course, higher. Okay. Crude oil higher by 3% right now last time I looked. Cryptocurrencies are flat. Let me just touch on cryptocurrencies real quick. For those of us that are in this stuff, for those of us that want to continue to acquire cryptocurrencies, yes, we've been stuck in a range for a long time. Weeks ago, I told you about this. I said cryptos are stuck in a range and we should eventually expect a breakout to the upside or to the downside. Okay, let's see how this plays out. Expect volatility moving forward. It is certainly possible that we could see cryptos take a hit. And what would that mean? What would that mean to you, understanding the current environment that central banks, especially the Fed, is going to continue to inflate on a massive scale? Does it mean that's it for cryptos? No. I don't see any meaningful regulation coming down the pike, okay? And I talk to everybody, all right? I don't believe that is going to happen. So in my view, people, you need to be holding cryptocurrencies, or at least some in your portfolio. You own these things. They're not issued by a central bank. They're not owed back to a central bank, plus interest that they print out of thin air or create out of thin air. And you are going to hear more talk from our so-called representatives for tough regulations on crypto, because it's going to hurt the financial system that is being run by central banks. You have to understand, and I'm going to say this again too, you have no representation anymore. I don't care where you live in the world. It's all being run by the banks. The central banks have a stranglehold on the entire world, people. If there were a way to take out these organizations, we should all do it. But again, they're too powerful and they're too strong. They're backed. Each central bank of any modern economy has the backing of their military, the entire military might of the United States, as a matter of fact. Just in case you're wondering where we're going with this whole thing. I'm laughing, but it's so pathetic and it's so sick what we're watching happen to people. The pressure that's being put on people today, the lies and the propaganda and look, we are literally seeing a reset to this new system that I warned would come, a two-tier society, the feudal system here, no representation here whatsoever, extreme haves, extreme have-nots. People are doing things that I said they would, and you knew they would as well, continue to borrow and borrow and borrow more just to try to keep themselves or the illusion of existing in the middle class here. And it's over. It's absolutely over for the middle class. It's a slave society, people, being ruled under a new tyrannical system that will not allow you to think for yourself, move. There's no free movement, no free thought, no free action anymore. The very premise that the United States was built on, this free nation here, it doesn't exist anymore. And like I always tell you, our forefathers would be rolling over in their graves. We've allowed this to happen slowly but surely here. But this, in many ways, I don't want to... Look, the central banks, since their inception, their goal has been one thing, and only one: to one day to be the lender and buyer of last resort, so they can create a global slave system. Why do you think, for example, the United States, let's focus on the United States, is the largest debtor nation in the history of the world? I showed you that chart yesterday. Our debt to GDP ratio is skyrocketing, debt ballooning. And you know the only product of central banks is debt. Their power exists in one thing, just one: their ability to issue debt. If we had a real leader, maybe here in the United States, we're never going to get one because they're all slaves to the central banks, all of them. I don't care how great you think they are. I don't care how much you worship them. I don't care how badly you want them back in office. It doesn't matter anymore. We have no representation. It's just over in that respect here. The central banks, like I said, they got this covered. They've had this plan in action for over a century, and they've been slowly but surely moving toward their goal. And that's what this reset that people keep talking about is really about. A whole entire new set of rules. I told you this was coming. A new paradigm. A demographic shift like we've never seen before. What did we find out just earlier in the week here? Luxury sales are skyrocketing. Meanwhile, People who are in the middle class continue to borrow beyond their eyeballs just to maintain their current status. And all they're doing is reassuring that they're going to drop into the lower tier of society. I've explained this to you at length for years. And it's in your face. It is in your face. Anyway, that's pretty much where we stand here, people, right now. More absolutely abysmal economic news. One more thing. The yield curve is now dropping further. This is a clear sign that our economy remains in free fall. Like I told you, when you see the yield curve dropping, like we're seeing right now, it's a clear sign. I mean, going back as far as you do a little research on your own. What does it mean when the yield curve flattens out or drops? It's a bad sign for the economy, but no surprise to you. Our economy is cratering as a percentage of GDP at its fastest pace in history. We've never seen anything like it. Surging inflation, abysmal jobs numbers. What does this look like to you? Are you buying the dog shit from the mainstream? Oh, we're doing fantastic. And today, it's the funniest thing. They're sitting there after this horrible number today, this abysmal historic miss with regard to payrolls last month, and they're going, why? What we're supposed to be doing so good? Ah! I tell you, they don't know their ass from their elbow. All they're doing is lying to you, and that's what they're going to continue to do. All right, people, look, kind of a long video. I want to end it now, but I want you to ponder what I'm telling you. I want you to listen to what I'm saying here. The reset that everyone is talking about is to this new feudal system, extreme haves, extreme have-nots, and a complete absolute wipeout of the middle class, a tyrannical system that will not allow you to even have control over your own body. They own you, all of you. Your entire body is theirs. Do you realize that? You have no say-so in certain parts of the world right now. And you don't think this is going to spread around the world, kind of like moronic is, that it's now all over the place. It's, we have cases popping up in New York, a whole bunch of them all over the place. You don't think that this was going to happen. Let me tell you, in case you don't know, this is not the end. There will be more. There will be more. And some people are going to willingly sit back and surrender their liberties, surrender their freedoms, and they're going to badmouth all of us who refuse to comply. Well, this guy will never comply. I would rather freaking die on my feet than be a slave on my knees. Anyway, I'm out of here. I'll see you later.